everyone. Okay, so this video is going to be getting through the first 6 months after a loss. Since I have two different types of losses, I'm going to kind of try to go over both of them and get them in this video within the amount of time that YouTube allows. So if you've watched my introduction or you know anything about me already, then you know that I have had both infant loss. I lost my first daughter, Carly, at 4 months old, and stillbirth, where we lost our second daughter, Hannah, at 32 weeks. So after my first loss, after we lost Carly, her loss was very unexpected. The first night I was, she passed away at 1, well, they pronounced her death at 1 a.m. She had passed away before then, but we were holding her, and we didn't call the doctor over. And we didn't call the doctor to come over until 1 a.m. to check her. So she pronounced her dead at 1 a.m. and it was just hard. We left the hospital, and I left out those doors thinking, that's the last time I'll ever be leaving these doors again. It's the last time I'll ever walk out of the NICU, ever again. But knowing that I wouldn't be walking out of those doors with my daughter in my arms like I was supposed to. So I was heartbroken and completely upset. I went home. I think we left the hospital around 4 a.m. So they pronounced her death at 1 a.m. We stayed until 4 holding her. We knew that we just had to let her go. We knew we couldn't stay there forever. So we did. We allowed all the family and friends to come in and visit, and then we gave her a bath and we went on home. So I didn't get hardly any sleep that night. I think maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and then I was wide awake. So then, at that moment, I got on the phone, called the funeral home, and started making arrangements. We went to the funeral home, picked out a casket, told them what we wanted written in the obituary, gave them pictures, just something parents should never have to do for their children. And so after we had the funeral the following day, so it was like, she passed away the early morning of the 9th. The same day on the 9th, or later in the day, we went to the funeral home. And then on the 10th, we had her funeral. So it was done extremely fast. I believe we had it on the 10th. If we didn't have it on the 10th, we had it on the 11th, but I'm almost positive we had it on the 10th because I didn't want to draw out the process any longer than it had to be. So the day after her funeral, my husband and I packed up and we took off to the beach in hopes to find a way to clear our heads. We ended up in a crappy beach. That was stupid. We hated it. There was nothing there. We ended up arguing most of the time. We are not a couple that argues, but with all the stress and everything that was going on, we argued. We cried. We fussed and said it was unfair. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but yeah, it was just hard. That first week was so hard. And then we decided to come home from the beach a day early. Thank God we did, because my brother was in a severe car accident. And he was in the hospital and in a coma for a very long time. So because of that, I was at the same hospital that Carly was in with my brother. And now I was taking care of my brother, who was non-responsive, not opening his eyes, breathing with a ventilator. He was on death's door. They didn't think he was going to survive. So instead of having the negative aspect of my loss to focus on, I actually had my brother to focus on, even though I hated that it happened. But in a way, I feel like it helped me to get through the grunt of the beginning of my grief. But yet sometimes I feel like it caused me to put the brakes on the grieving process in a way. So sometimes I feel like it helped, and sometimes I feel like it hindered. But it did give me something else to focus on, as opposed to completely focusing on the death of Carly. Okay, so while my brother was still in the hospital in the rehab, see, Carly passed away in March. I got pregnant again in April. So not only did I have my brother to focus on, now I had a new pregnancy to focus on. So instead of having something negative to focus on, I had something positive to focus on. We weren't getting pregnant to replace Carly, because obviously she was irreplaceable. She was her own person. But I knew that I was supposed to be a mother. And I was a mother to Carly, but Carly had passed on. So I felt like I had a deep yearning inside of me to mother a child. So we tried again, and we had Hannah. Hannah was growing well, and there was times during the pregnancy with Hannah that I would just kind of break down and cry because I missed Carly, and I still felt like things were kind of unfair, but it wasn't that difficult. And like I said, I say that because I had my brother and my new pregnancy to focus on. Fast forward to November of 2008, when Hannah was stillborn. I was a wreck. I was mad, I was upset, I was hurt. I couldn't believe it had happened a second time. I didn't know what in the world I had done to deserve this. And so now this is kind of where I say that my first 6 months really started to get to me. Because not only did I not have Carly, now I didn't have Hannah. And not only did I not have both of my daughters, I had nothing else to focus on during this time. I was forced to focus on the reality that I was living. I was forced to sit down and realize that my life had gone to shit at that point. Excuse my language, but I went into a deep pit of depression. I was taking some depression medication to try to help me get through it. I actually started the medication before I came home because my doctor knew that it was going to be difficult for me because I had had 2 losses in less than a year. So I was taking Prestique, I think is what it was. So I was taking that. I was at home. My husband was working. I was home alone. All I did was look up stillbirth causes, and I was trying to find an answer. So that's what I spent a lot of my time doing, was trying to find answers. Not only was I doing that, I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking. I was not doing anything to keep myself healthy. So I had went from 160 some pounds to 118 pounds in a matter of time. I lost every bit of my weight and then some. And that didn't last for long. Obviously when I got back to my normal self, I picked that weight back up. But I've dropped a lot of weight really fast. I had a really hard time sitting around at home. There was days that I would just cry. And I would go into I would almost feel like I was hyperventilating. I would get so upset. And I couldn't catch my breath, and it was hard. It was really, really hard. I would have these thoughts that these pregnant women I knew were going to feel bad for me, and they were just going to say, hey, you know what? I have a child, and I'm just going to give you the baby that I have. I know that's unrealistic. You know that's unrealistic. But it is an honest-to-God opinion that I had. I just thought people were going to give me their babies. And when they didn't, I was like, well, of course they're not going to give you your baby. Or give you their baby. But those are some, I really thought like that. And, I don't know. It was horrible. It was really, really bad. I did never want to try for another baby at that point. I felt like life couldn't go on, that I would never be happy again. There were days that I would get in my car. I never thought of actually harming myself, but there were days that I would get in my car and I would say, you know, it might be nice if I could just have a car accident and just, you know, my life be taken and I could just be with my daughters and I would be happy. One night we went to sleep. We have a natural wood burning fireplace, and I just thought, you know, when I went to sleep, I said, well, maybe a red coal will fly out and hit the carpet and the house will catch fire and we'll just burn up and we'll just be finished and we can just go on and see our girls. I mean, I had crazy thoughts of death. I never had thoughts of harming myself, like I said, but I did have thoughts of dying, and they didn't scare me. They comforted me. But in the same sense, they made me feel bad because I knew I wasn't going to die, and I knew I wasn't going to see my girls, and so it was really hard. I would get angry when I seen pregnant women. I just thought, why you, not me? One thing in particular I remember seeing on the news right after I came home from the hospital after having Hannah was that a family or a mother had delivered her baby in the bathroom at McDonald's and left it there. And I was like, give me the baby, please, just give me that child. I was like, why would people do that? And it was just horrible. So things like that would happen. It would just set things off. With Hannah, this didn't happen with Carly because I had already been pumping with Carly and had already stopped pumping for medical reasons and things like that in the hospital. But with Hannah, my milk came in, and so I was engorged. My breast hurt so bad. My body wanted me to nurse a baby, but I had no baby in my arms to nurse. So that was really, really difficult. I was hurting from the C-section, and I thought it was pure bullcrap that I had to suffer from the pain of an invasive surgery, but yet not have the child there, but still suffer through the pain. So yeah, it was really hard. I eventually had to get out of the house because I was driving myself insane, researching day in and day out. I was looking up blogs, searching for other people to relate to, yeah, so I was driving myself a little crazy. I had Hannah in November, and I went back to work, I believe January 1st, or January 2nd. January 2nd, I went back to work. And that was one of the best things I could have done. It helped me to focus on something else. It helped me to feel needed again. And it wasn't overnight, but it got better. I would have days at work where I'd just have to stop, go to the bathroom and cry, and then get back and do it again. And eventually it got a little better, but it took time. The first 6 months were extremely difficult. You just have to be gentle to yourself. If you're going through this, you have to, don't hold back your feelings. If you feel like you need to cry, you need to cry. If you feel like you want to scream, you need to scream. If you feel like you need to punch somebody, punch a pillow. Don't punch anybody, but punch a pillow. But I have found myself punching pillows, screaming in pillows, screaming to the top of my lungs in the middle of the house. It was hard, but you have to be gentle to yourself. You have to allow yourself to grieve the way your body and mind want to grieve. So let's see how far I am. I am at 13 minutes, so I'm over time. So I'm going to stop this now. But yeah, I hope this helps somebody. But this is exactly how I felt when I was going through the grieving process of the first 6 months. I'm sure I'm leaving something out, but this is all I can remember off the top of my head. It has been a long time. I lost my daughters in 2008, so it's been a few years. But yeah. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.